Today I'm going to be tying a hare's ear nymph. I'm going to be using size 12 barbless hooks. This is one of my favorite hooks. It's actually a merger hook, but I use it for a number of different flies. And I'm going to be using a gold 1/8 inch bead for the head. To start, I'm going to attach my thread. I've tried to train myself to attach the thread in such a way that I don't have to come back and cut it off. This saves me from having to reach down and pick up my scissors and put them back down. It's not needed. Do touching turns all the way back to lay a base for my materials. And I'm going to put a tail on that's just a chicken wing feather. More or less what I do is I get the tips as aligned as I can, grab that and just cut this off feather. I'll come in here, pinch it with my other thumb, see how lined up it is. That's pretty good. So I'll measure this. I do about a half a shank's length. I'll do a couple of loose turns first, and then I'll pull up on it, tighten it down. That pulls it around just a little bit, right to where I want it to be. Next, I'm going to attach my metal wire, which I'm going to be using for my ribbing. Tie that in with a couple turns, and then clean this up a bit. I'm going to trim off these bring the thread back. The dubbing I'm using today is Hare's Ear Plus dubbing in a natural color. This has a little bit of antron mixed in. I use this because I'm actually a little bit allergic to rabbits, and for some reason this seems to have a little bit less of the allergen than when it comes straight from the mask. Spin that onto the thread. And often what I do is I'll catch the fibers that first turn. I'll keep spinning, twisting it some, just to keep the fibers tight as I turn it. Not sure what that is. When you're tying a fly, don't feel bad about going back and polishing it up just a little bit. Next, I'm going to take my ribbing up. This adds a little bit of durability to the fly, traps down the fibers and also protects some against fish teeth. Secure that in with a couple wraps. I'm just going to twist that off. What I've been doing is I've been using Peacock herl trimmings for my wing case. They give a nice shine. I have more than enough lying around. Just tie that in. And for my thorax, I'd actually use a dubbing loop. This allows me to build up a little bit more bulk, as well as push a little more water with the fly. So to do that, I'm going to be using this tool. For this I get some dubbing and sort of stretch it out some. I'm just going to lay that in my loop. Let's just twist it. In this type of dubbing, you get a dense base, and then you have a couple of hairs coming out, which gives it a little bit of bulk, but still retains some translucency, which I really like. So that's what I tend to use for my thorax. I just use some hackle pliers to grab that right behind the hairs, so I can easily turn it, spin it onto the hook. Stroke it back as I go. Keep it as bushy as possible. Keep the fibers all going the same way and from being trapped down as much. I'll tie that off with a couple turns. Trim it off. Next I take a piece of Velcro and I brush it, and this helps get some of the hairs that got trapped down when I spun it on, and fluffs it out some. Yeah, it gives it the bulk I'm wanting. And I bring the wing casing over, sort of split the hairs, go around it. I'll tie this down with several turns. I'm going to trim this off as close to the bead as I can. Now all I have to do is tie it off. I usually do about 5 or 6 turns with my whip finish. Pull that tight. Because this knot is right behind the bead, haven't had any trouble with it coming loose. So I just leave it like that. I don't worry about trying to get glue right there behind the bead. And I'll take some of these antron fibers that are in this dubbing mix are a little bit long, so I'll come in and trim those off some. Keep them about the same length as a hare's mask. There you have it. It's the fly. Thanks.